there's a commonality between everything that you do, which is to help people in some way or another. You're providing a service where, there's the Modern Women Festival, which is like trying to, I guess, like provide a network and also different programs for that are targeted. I saw your website. There's like different types of women that that it addresses to, and then there's workshops and all that, and then also with Chitra being a social enterprise. I mean, that's self-explanatory. Marketing and Ibusari in education. Before we go on into all these different things on struggles, I wanna ask, what are the more recent successes or unexpected successes that you've had this year, or that you want to highlight?
I really shouldn't have sat here, should I?
You're always gonna be the first.
Right. Unexpected. Probably, well, I mean, the festival is quite unexpected. I never know where it's gonna go. I kind of know, I have the idea of where I'd like for it to go, but to see how it's mushrooming, to see how it's just living, having a life of its own, to see how it's taking up, to see how many women are coming to support it. I had zero startup capital, like near bankrupt. I had no sponsors. I had nothing. And things are going. Nonetheless, things are going. Like bad things are happening, and then even better things are happening. So that's probably the most unexpected thing, to see how something that started as like, workshops or like talks for 15 people suddenly became like 300 people festival. And now, like I mentioned, moving to Philippines, moving to Europe, moving back to Hong Kong, to Russia is like, whoa, okay, that's fantastic.
Just to add to that, would you highlight maybe one? I'm sure there's multiple factors to the success, but would you be able to boil it down to one? So that's the rephrase of the question. If there's one success that you guys want to highlight, and if there's a key factor that has led to that success.
Evil. One key factor. I think just, breathing out, letting go, and just opening and saying yes. That's it, I think, probably. Just saying yes to developing, it's like, I don't know, I don't have any children, but I would imagine maybe that's what it's like to raise a child. Just giving a direction, but then ultimately saying, like, yes, you make your choice, you grow, you go. So that's kind of what happened.
Well, I think my success moment is a bit more literal than Anastasia. I stumbled into this business model accidentally. I mean, I always wanted to support social enterprise, but I don't know how. I don't know how I can make it sustainable. And then a person that I met accidentally in an event like Startup Weekend. We were both like mentors at that Startup Weekend, and then I get to know this person, and then she's like, oh yeah, I actually have like an internship agency. Basically, she distributes interns across Bali, work for startups, some that work remotely from startups in all over the world, but based in Bali. And then she's like, I have people wanting to work in impact, like social enterprises. Like, do you know anything? And do you know anybody? And just like, well, there are a lot of social enterprises, but a lot of time, like, they don't have the capacity to mentor the interns. They don't have like a strategic oversight, like what needs to be done. And then the interns ends up not being able to be utilized fully while they are really keen on working. They're really keen on contributing. So I'm just like, yeah, but I probably need to, discuss it with the founders and, and design a work for them. Yeah, sure. I mean, I can pay you for that. Right. Okay, let's do that. And then suddenly I handled 5 interns so far, and being a new business owner is very encouraging once you actually get paid for something, that your business is actually earning something. And yeah, I think that's probably what propelled the business, to increase the confidence into me going full on, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm building a website and things like that. Yeah.
So I guess mine is just as literal as yours. I think what propelled me this year would definitely have to be the fact that we launched our podcast. So one of the things that we do at Wave Makers at the year end is we have a little retreat with the team, and we sort of like reflect and ask ourselves, like, what do we want to achieve for the next year? And what ends up happening is we come up with a tagline, and our tagline for 2019 was strengthen your sailing skills. And I know, we're wave makers, boat, so strengthen your sailing skills meant to us basically to up your game with whatever it is that we're at. Because last year, Wave Makers did really well. We bagged really good clients and things like that, but we wanted to basically strengthen our sailing skills through brand awareness. So we realized that we were really good at running events, like free workshops for our businesses, and they loved what we did, but they didn't have the ability to follow through with us post that, and they consistently wanted to connect with us. So what we ended up doing was saying, okay, let's launch a podcast. And from launching that podcast, we managed to retain our relationships with our potential leads or clients. And from there, what was amazing was we got media coverage, and also I was invited to speak at other events, and that was also one of my thing this year, to speak at more events. That's why we did this, Mikey. But yeah, I mean, the reality is what had happened from where we were believing like, okay, brand awareness, start a podcast, and it has transpired to some amazing things and opportunities in this past year. So I think the highlight would be that, basically.
I think I have two things would like to highlight. I would like to see more women center, more women center created in every district, if possible, and even men center to balance. Since I realized many people like these beautiful girls, and you all having generosity and also have big heart to help and support others. So I believe every stories of life of individual person need to be appreciated and awarded. Thank you.
Thank you for that. There's a common genuinity between you guys. You're really out there to help people, and there's something that I can relate to when I started Bali Praia as well, which is a lot of things didn't happen until you started getting out there and networking and I guess, like, exposing your business in other sectors, I guess, because I was having this thing where I was trying to get people to use our services, but I started doing talks around Bali, and then it got more exposure to that. So that's where I relate to that. I would like to open the floor up to any questions anybody has. Yep, let's start with you.
Thank you for sharing first. My first question would be, I think, a typical one. So, since you all started something special and unique, and some of you even changed fields of profession, or even started something from scratch, I would like to know, how did you deal with obstacles? For example, when you said, like, okay, I had no investments, or I don't know, I didn't know what I'm actually doing. Like, what is your personal, very personal key to overcome or to deal with such obstacles?
Thank you for that question. Maybe we'll have Ibu Sari start first, because then we can switch things around a bit.
Other first. And I think every good things people do for others actually to fulfill our satisfaction. And I believe all those good things, there's always stories behind. And either the story can inspire others, it depends on us, on ourselves. So I'm dedicating this, my life, to taking children of women, it comes from my own stories, my own experience. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how to help. I wouldn't know how to share to others. So I think it's always the need to comes from ourselves first before we able to share to others. Because again, if we would like to inspire others, we need to be honest to ourselves first. How badly do we want this? I think I would like them to act more. Thank you.
I can definitely relate to it comes within you first. And I think, to give a background story, Wavemakers has been around for 4 years, and we're into our 4th year and coming into our 5th year. And year 1 to 3 was tough, really, really tough. We were trying to get our footing right, our prices right, and trying to juggle all the opportunities, but realizing we can't deliver. We started out as a team of 2, then we had 5, and then we had to scale down again. And those were challenges, big time. And I have to admit, like, we had 3 co-founders at some point, and then it had to be 2 because the other one could not fully commit. So it was really, really, there were tons of roadblocks, believe me. And one of the things that changed throughout the period and how we overcome that is how we realize that reach out to the people who can support you. I think one of the things that we forget is that people are very happy to help if you just ask. But sometimes we have our own egos that we, put up a front and say we're amazing, blah, blah, which we are. But at the same time, you have to realize that if you need help, ask. And the universe is open to give it to you. And I really, really think that that's really what has allowed us to go where we have thus far, is to really ask for help. And what's the worst thing they could do, right? They say no, and you just keep asking other people. That's it, So yeah, I think that's one thing that I learned when we overcome our roadblocks.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, like when you explained about the first and second and third year, I'm there, like totally. It's like hiring the right people, or this is not a good fit, and then I need to let her go, and then it's all back by myself. And then apparently starting your own business is such a lonely job because you're the only one who's working on what you're doing, until you have help, you're by yourself. And then to be a new business owner, you kind of feel inclined to say to people, oh, I'm successful, I can do this, I can do that, and then to instill confidence. But the fact is, it's just like sometimes you just don't know shit, like you're not sure if you're doing the right thing. You're not sure like how to do this. You just keep going. And then I think, like asking help is definitely like one thing, like you just have to be honest, like, when you have problem with something, and then just ask for help. And then, the second thing that I learned is like, just tell about what you're doing to people. This is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it. And then sometimes it resonates with the right people. Sometimes they become your advocate. I need you to meet this person. I need you to meet that person. Like the reason that why I'm here, because somebody introduced us, right? And then because like previously I kind of shy away from this kind of networking, being a speaker and things like that, because I'm quite an introvert. That's so like it's not really my thing. But she's like, no, you go there. I create an event for you. You meet Mike, and she's gonna invite you to become a speaker. And then she's becoming like this voice of like positivism, And then when I'm kind of like, oh my God, and then she's like, come on, like you should do this. This can be your promotion. And then, okay, and then you need people like that. You need people who believe in you, who believe in your mission and your vision, who can be, who can be your sounding board, and then like, no, go for it, go to that event, and then grab this opportunity, and then so you kind of like, okay, let's keep going, and because basically, you just need to push through, you just need to keep going, and you need people who remind you to keep going. Right.
Good answer.
God, now I totally wish I went first because God damn it. Can we switch? No, because I totally resonate with everything that's been said. Just going. But what I want to add to that is two things, maybe, not to repeat anything else, what you so beautifully put. I want to talk about the other side of going forward. So to me, pushing through willpower, this forceful action, that's only one side of it. So this, the forceful, willful, like masculine type of action. That's one side. But what about the other side? What about the more softer, feminine way? The devotion, the love. And for me, I think I have to love what I do because I cannot not do it. So it's not an obstacle anymore. It's not an obstacle. It's just like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go and do it. Like it's mystery. It's something. Yeah, it's not a problem It's not a problem that's getting you down. It's something exciting. Yeah, I think there was two things, but now I forgot the other one. I'll just.
Well, thank you for that. I wanted to follow up with that on how basically you guys talk about, like, sometimes being an entrepreneur and being a leader and being a business owner, it's like you're alone and you're trying to get everyone on board on I guess the vision that you're trying to build, the business that you're trying to build. Could you give us maybe some examples of how you try to, I guess, spread that through organizational culture on what you do as a person and also in the business, if that makes sense, Did you get that? Yeah, because it's your leadership roles, but also to kind of get people on board on following what you're doing, right?
To me, totally, it's like the same answer. Thank you. That's very easy. You made it easy. It's the same answer. It's love. People feel your love. People feel your passion. They listen to you and they just, they believe. They believe in what you're saying. They believe in what you want to do and they want to do the same. So if it resonates, people work for me. I build businesses and people work with me. I cannot pay people for some things that we do. I give percentages. I always give percentages of what we make when I have no money. That's also answering your questions. What do you do without any funding? I just share. Everything we make, I just share. I have nothing. I have nothing to give, but I have my belief, and I think people feel that. And going with authenticity, so I'm not building a brand for my own, because, I also actually, like you, I'm a little bit, weirdly, so doing something because I think it deserves to be done, because it belongs in the hearts and in this world. I think that kind of makes people excited because they feel the same, and that helps.
I think for me, like what I learned is like people have their own needs and people have their own vision on what they want to do, like how they want to do it. And sometimes it just doesn't match. Like it doesn't mean that my idea is less good and, my idea is wrong and then her idea is correct or anything like that. It just doesn't match. So what I feel like, like every time I talk to, like, I'll be introducing them, this is what I do. Hey, I need somebody who to do something like this, or like to do one part of the work. I need somebody who to do the communication strategy, for instance, and I can like forcefully hire somebody who's like just need the job. But for somebody who's like really passionate about it, yeah, I can do like a 2-month consulting for you. I mean, I'm currently taking a time off. I'm gonna be in Bali, so I'm gonna build this strategy for you. So it's like when you meet somebody who resonates, like believe in the similar things, want something similar to get done as well. I like this person is just equally enthusiastic to work with us. And then I'm forever grateful to her, because she's just very passionate about what I do. And it kind of makes me feel like if I'm working for her, it's kind of like, it's just becoming like a source of support. But you don't always meet somebody like that. And then you just have to accept that people have different plans. And then my first hire, she needed the job, but it's just not her passion. So I just have to let her go.
So I can resonate with the both of you. When it comes to love, I do think that love is important. And as I mentioned earlier, we had 3 co-founders when we started, and then it went down to 2. And there was a lot of the reason that happened as well was nobody in our team was willing to take leadership of the entire organization. And like you guys, I'm actually an introvert, you know, and it might not seem so, but I am. And the thing is, like, when this happened, we realized that, okay, somebody has to drive the bus. And the girls elected me to run as CEO and the face of the brand. But it's still daunting for me till today. I find it really difficult, but I know that it is for the benefit of the goal, the outcome, and the big picture is always the fact that we want to help people communicate their vision, mission, and values and help them sell better products, basically. And so with that vision and mission in mind, what we basically created was a culture that believed in supporting other businesses. So even as an agency, we try to be very selective with the clients that we meet, because not the clients that we meet, but the clients that we take on, because we want to believe in the product. And so in our culture, when we hire, we also make sure that they understand that whatever you want to do, do it with passion and comes with love, you know? So do they love marketing? Do they love communicating? Do they actually believe in helping others grow their business? These are like the core things that we look for in anyone that we hire. And in the beginning, we never thought about that. And now that we've thought about it, it really helps. So yeah.
The power of love. I think being a leader or entrepreneur is like having Instagram, isn't it? How many followers follow us? But I think the question is, would they stay longer with us? Can we keep them? That's, I think, the question. First step, what I've been and doing being a leader. First step I've been doing being a leader is LAF, look, ask, and feel. That's very important for me, and it's work. And actually, this question actually can be answered by our ladies who've been sitting there, inside and outside. They've been following me everywhere. But yeah, first, again, besides having love inside of you, because you are the example, your heart and mind need to be aligned. This is we call passion. And because again, especially here, we are in Bali, your patience is tested. Slowly but surely. Even many times not sure. Be all right. Be flexible. But of course, business cannot be slowly slow. Of course, we need to be able to sustain and fast. But again, we need to look back. Again, is this what we do really want to do? And is this what others want to do? It has to, again, love means love what you do and do what you love. we always talk about this. And love is really power. That's why I start with the power of love. Be kind. Be kind to yourself. Add a good value to yourself. Because, again, we are what we believe. If we believe, we can expect others would believe as well, because we start creating all this positive energy. I believe with energy of your own self. Yeah, yourself. Because again, being a leader, especially again here in Bali, because we have been followed the kingdom society, the kingdom system. We used to be followers. Of course, we cannot expecting people to have any curiosity. We start to encourage them, find a way to motivate them, planting a seed in their mind. Why? this is important to do. And so far, once those people, not just ladies, because we, in the end, we end up not just helping those children with special needs and women who struggles, but helping the rest of the communities. This is what I've been grateful for. Chosen by the nature, being a leader, being someone who can be listened. But have you ever listened to yourself? This is need to be a question to ourselves and see ourselves deeper and know ourselves better. Then we can understand others. We often struggle, we often get stressed easily. It's all about expectation. The bigger expectation, the higher frustration. If it's not happening, isn't it? So this is often happening in many businesses, or I think in every a single part of our life, not just in business. So, yeah, it's always start from yourself. Thank you.
Very, that was a question. No, I was saying that what a round of answers. That was very, very insightful, guys. Yeah, I could resonate on the whole passion thing. You got to be passionate about what you do. That's how you get other people to follow you and collaborate with you. And also a touch of, I guess, like your own self fulfillment, you know? Are you doing this that, you know, deep down inside you feel good about it? Because then as you are feeling good, then it gets you to do more of it. So again, I would like to open the floor up to more questions. Anybody have any questions over here? Sure. Of course, you can ask anybody a question.
No, I actually do genuinely have a question. It's following up from what you said, Sari, and it kind of hit very closely what I've been dealing with. And this is a question to, like, all of us, and maybe someone from the audience as well. I want to ask a question about this idea that you shared about leadership being like Instagram account. So, you know, what we share on our social media tends to be quite positive and filtered. And leaders tend to have certain expectations on them, right? So having it together, like, you know, having hold on most things, not just professional, but personal. So my question being, as a leader, how much, as a leader or as someone who has a leader, what is your expectation with that? What is your relationship to leader showing that he or she is losing it, that he or she is struggling, that he or she is not having, you know, any idea of how to handle this particular situation? How do you deal with real life as a leader? That's my question.
I think I can answer that one pretty well, because for me, that's one of my biggest irritations in the world for leaders is I just am so irritated by the whole motivational speaker. I'm so irritated by my life is perfect. Look at my Lamborghini. Look how much money I made. It's not real. And I truly feel like people who start off motivating people are usually the ones, the people that they started off inspiring usually end up not liking them. They turn on them because it's not real. And when we just show our good side, I feel like it's spreading more fear in the world, because we're inadvertently putting high expectations on the people that we serve, and I just don't feel that that's fair. So for me, I share every part of me. I share all the dark sides. You know, I cried through a Facebook Live the other day when I was talking about some old wounds of abuse. And because of that, I've had such a loyal following for years, the people who follow me, because I'm extremely honest and real and don't share the just the perfect side of my life, which I could easily do. I've been traveling the world for over a year, and I could easily brag about how beautiful my life is, but I share the dark side of that as well. And honestly, sharing that dark side is what has opened up a lot of doors and opportunities for me. I just got offered to go to New York to teach or to be on a TV show talking about all the dark things, because I'm comfortable in that space talking about the dark things. And I feel like women need to be comfortable in that space because we're not perfect. And we don't need to show up as perfect. And I personally like leaders who can show all sides of themselves. And I appreciate that in women who don't have to pretend that they're perfect. It's not real.
For me, leadership is highly associated with education, aka teachers. And I had really bad experiences with teachers. I think a lot of people did, especially when I was young. And they were always putting themselves on a pedestal, and I was always the tiny one, and they were the big ones. So I feel like for leadership, it can be the same. Like someone is looking from above to others, which is never a good thing. But if you see leadership as a way of education, you would meet people on the same level, which means nothing but I learn with you, and you learn with me. So I'm as a leader, I'm not better than you are. I'm not more educated, but I'm doing something different. And therefore, I need your knowledge, and maybe you can benefit from my knowledge. So for me, a real leader does bring transparency to their lack of knowledge and experience, and they're gonna ask their followers for help. Like it was you saying that, right? Ask for help. Like you can ask your own followers. I think that makes a good leader because it brings trust and transparency, and it also encourages people to do the same, to speak up for themselves.
Yeah, I think for the whole world, leadership has to change. Like the picture how we see leader or leadership is always or comes in different shapes. Usually it's a person who's trying to be above, or some people who like if they try to be like more friendly or like more like a friend to their employees, it's not working as well. So I think the new approach, just like you said, they have to grow with their own dreams as well. Like, and so many leaders are doing stuff that they don't love, and probably this is the reason why they're in positions they don't like, and they kind of create their own world and can't escape. So that's they treating people bad and everything apart from that construction. And I think the new chance that we have also with the social media aspect, I think like there are two ways to use it. Like now we've experienced, okay, we can go in that direction in a very like artificial way, but it's also it opens up an opportunity to use it as a chance to share a vulnerability or to share more weakness, and also to make it more open to what also leadership is and how other people lead companies, or how they want to lead it, or it's more open, and we created kind of a good space for that. I think that's a good opportunity for like people like you to also turn get a new turn to that. So I think the whole approach has to change. Yeah.
I think being vulnerable is good for the leader, but not that often, right? We have to still lead the people, and mostly you have to understand the psychology behind the people who is following you. They are weaker and you are stronger, right? And most of the time people can think, they are, and whoever is following you, they are not equal to you anyways. And you have to show your strong part. That's why leaders has to remain leaders by being strong. And being vulnerable once upon a time, maybe one time in 3 months. That's my opinion. Yes, but not everyone will understand, because equal leader will understand you, but the workers, they won't really much understand. And you can lead by example. You will be you will show your love, basically what you do, passion. They will follow your passion, and as long as you educate them, yes, it is.
I understand what you mean. I have some struggles to really understand what you say, because it's pretty much the opposite of what I feel. Because for me, I think a lot of damage in the world is caused by us always separating each other from another. Like, we have someone who is strong, we have someone who is weak, a woman, a child, a father. And if we keep separating one from another, there will always be someone better than and worse than you are. But indeed, we are equal. We are. And the problem is that most people don't believe in that anymore. And that's how people can step up who shouldn't, because they're too fearful and distrustful. They're not bad people, they're just very scared. So the reason that we are separating each other from another all the time brings out scared people in positions where they shouldn't be. So I feel like sharing vulnerability and being fragile in front of your followers is like that chance to take in order to create a new environment for leadership and to finally take action to take action to support on a global base.
Thank you.
I like what you say, because what you said, for example, that leaders, they need to change and they need to do something. But if you are in a position where you have a leader, you can choose if you want to keep following them or not. So in that way, you can already make the change yourself. Like what you are doing by sharing your vulnerabilities, it's, you can choose if you want to follow a leader like that or not. And then you change the you change the perception of leadership already by your own actions that you can do.
No. Thank you guys for all sharing that. I just wanted to, since we're on this subject of vulnerability, I resonate in the fact that I'm the CEO of a company, and year one of Bali Praia, man, it was just like you were saying. There was a lot. We had more co-founders. Now we're down with 2. There was a lot of roadblocks. So I'm running out of money. All these different things, and sometimes I wake up and I'm like, damn, what am I doing? Like, I just want to shut down the business because it's so much stressful. Well, like, what I can add to that is that you need a very good support system, and this support system can come from literally anywhere. Your loved one, people in the company. Actually, the people who I hired believed in the company more than me sometimes. No, Mikey, this is a great concept. You got to do this, and blah, blah, blah. And then it kind of opened your eyes and rewired yourself on being like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because if there's other people who aren't owning this business that believe in it and believe the impact that you're creating, well, that's your smile right there, number one. And the second thing that I always want to say is no one's guarding your own happiness other than yourself, So it's one of those things where you got to keep, every business, every entrepreneur will get through their hurdles. But you got to keep yourself happy, and you got to kind of like find a way through maybe daily practices, which is actually the next question that I was going to ask, of you keeping yourself happy in order to keep going. Because yes, it's being real. I guess that's what you're bringing about. You're showing that vulnerability, but you have to keep yourself uplifted so that all these people still keep following you. So my next question, are there any, I guess, like daily practices or anything that you can share that, keeps yourself uplifted? What I was going to say, it's having to do with, basically daily practice on keeping yourself uplifted to make sure that you stay a good leader. Okay, sure.
It's so funny you ask this today, because today was a tough day for me. And then I just, and then I saw like the list of questions that you sent me, and then you're like, I don't know what the answer to this, because while I'm aware that I need it, it's a very stressful and very lonely job. I still haven't established like a daily routine. So sorry guys, I have no wisdom to share about this other than awareness that it is very important. I mean, there's like a period when I was like, things are going good, so I kind of have a little bit of like exploration about what actually works for me. Let's say like, oh, if I having like like really stressed out, my head feels hot, I just need to be in a pool and then dunk it underwater, and then suddenly all the troubles just like, it just flows away. And it's something that I wasn't aware last year. And then I was like, I haven't dunked my head in the water in 2 weeks or something. And yeah, I think like the awareness about it's important to identify what works for you. It's probably not the same like, meditation works, but I'm struggling with keeping a routine. So it's something that like, oh yeah, it's good, but then why do I stop? I don't even know why. But yeah, I'm having that awareness. I'm just like, yeah, I really need to restart something again tomorrow. This is tough.
So for the first 2 years, when we were starting this company, I had no work-life balance, and that was very bad for me. And it came to a point where we had a very difficult client, and I literally experienced seriously suicidal thoughts because I felt seriously like I can't do this anymore. It was really stressful for me. And I realized that obviously I reached out for help from people around me and told them, I mean, I'm not getting the work-life balance that I need. And it was very hard for me to realize that, because if you've known me long enough, you would never think that I would ever have that thought. Even I couldn't believe it myself. It was very hard for me to even realize I could even have these thoughts. And I was literally having an inner battle within myself, frustrated at the fact that I feel this. But I reached out for help. I told them, I told my closest like comrades rather my friends that I'm feeling this way. And my business partner was really supportive and told me like, you need to take a break, like just plug off. I mean, we do digital marketing and marketing, as you know, online, you're constantly on your screen. You just needed to unplug, and honestly. And so when I finally did get to unplug, I gained a lot of perspective. It was only 10 days of unplugging, but it still helped me a lot. But it gave me a perspective to understand that I need to find my routine. And so initially, when I started my routine at year 3, it was really just waking up earlier and just spending time. I don't meditate per se, but I kind of like observe my garden and just kind of like be present, because I've got this nice big garden and it's all green, and you just, breathe the air and see like how nice it is for like less than 30 minutes just to get your day going. And then I start like a routine. I make a cup of tea, have my tea with my biscuits, and then you start your day. So it really helps when you have that kind of routine for yourself, because it makes you realize that you start your day right, essentially. And when I don't do it, I do feel that off-balancedness. And then the funny thing is, like, now it's evolved a little bit more because we got a dog and a cat. And so my routine consists of waking up, having my cup of tea, hanging out with my dog, and then feeding my cat and playing with my cat, and then start work. So, you just start adding up to your life routine, but find the little simple things that makes you a little bit happier. And it really works for me. It keeps me focused. Yeah.
I think this is human issues. And not many actually realize we born with grieving, we born with all those sad and happy comes once another. How do I lifting? How do I recharge? How do I recharge my energy? We have a belief again. We have the belief of 3 E's. Everybody is a teacher, every place is a school, and every moment is a lesson. The question is, do we really want to learn from those? From everyone, from every place and every moment? If yes, then it will help us, myself, I found myself, it's helped me a lot when I understand myself that people or others are our reflection. Then I start having my wisdom to see things from a positive angle. And if someone, or if you call it followers or whatever, not following you or stay with you for long, or run away, again, patience. Keep calm. Trust the process. And just keep, don't stop. Keep on going. So this is another principle we have. Besides the 3 E's, we have 3 P's. Passion, patience, and perseverance. We cannot expect we help the world, but we can do our best to help as much as we can. If it's not working, then be all right, because we will realize there is not much good benefit of being angry or being sad, I think, but it is important. So I think it's all right. It's all right to be fragile. It's all right to be vulnerable, or whatever we call in unpleasant words. But when we get down, energy low, then we need reminders. We remind someone else. We need reminders, either a person or a place, like what you mentioned, or activities, or a moment where remind you to be okay. And you keep your strength, you keep your track up. So that's what I've been doing so far. And yeah, it's worth.
I think for me, the idea of work-life balance is a tricky one for several reasons. I don't have a division between life and work, or whatever you say. Yeah, life and work. Yeah, that's how it says. My life is my work, and my work is my life. There's no division. This is my passion, like through and through. I meet people at parties. They become my collaborators, my speakers, my teachers, my partners, my sponsors. Like, there's no, when I feel down, I organize an event like a party. When I feel like talking to girls, I organize women's circle. So it's a little bit backwards, I think. It's probably not healthy. But yeah, I have a blurred line. And another reason why I'm uncomfortable with the idea of work-life balance, I think it's becoming, instead of the balance, it becomes having it all. It becomes like an chasing. It becomes an expectation. Instead of harmony and leaning towards ease, it becomes another thing that we're adding onto ourselves. Like expecting, like, oh, I'm supposed to have more of this. I'm supposed to have more of that. I'm supposed to go out more. I'm supposed to drink coffee more, whatever. Like, I'm not seeing harmony. I'm not seeing balance. I'm seeing another pressure. So for me, balance looks very different. Sometimes my balance is going through a period of like violent disbalance. I work like big events. I organize big events for 3 months, and then I isolate myself. I don't see anybody for a couple of months. I do just writing, or I spend time alone. So it's just riding these waves. It's knowing where I'm at, knowing where I'm at my strongest, my most social, and knowing when I just need to retreat. And if it's 1 day, it's 1 day. If it's 3 months, it's 3 months. So it might look in balance, but that's my balance.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for sharing that. I have a couple more questions, and then I want to open it up to the floor again. you guys being women entrepreneurs, are there any gender myths that you guys want to debunk, in the sense that, like, are there, like, did were there any obstacles of, where you are a female entrepreneur, that, you have, I guess, like, in terms of moving forward with, I guess, the businesses that you've done. I don't know. I'm running out of questions, actually. I'm so sorry. Okay. Well, I'll open up to the floor again. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
No, it's a good question. Yeah, there are of course gender stereotypes. Yeah, and like I remember when I started working with engineering equipment, so it's like heavy, like wire, like pipes and air conditioning and central heating. And I would be sitting at the office, and clients would come in, and he would be like, "Hey, girl, get me a cup of coffee and get me an engineer." And I'm like, "Excuse me, like." So, okay, here's your coffee, and now let's talk. So, yeah, of course that persists. And also, like, now with the Women's Festival, oh my God, it's hilarious. What's going on? It's so funny. Some people think we sit in the circle, take a mirror, and look at our pussies all day. Some people think we, I don't know, sit in a circle and talk about how men are assholes. Some people think that we braid each other's hair. Some people, I don't know what people think. There are such strange stereotypes, really, really weird stereotypes. But I think also women, I gotta say, we're kind of perpetuating them. I'm sorry. We're like fighting for equality. We're fighting for, treat us no different. Don't, we have all these movements for respect how I dress. I'm not, oh my God, this is totally gonna be taken out of context. I'm not saying that these are bad, but what I'm saying is that women also do use their sexuality, and they do use their like flirtatiousness to get ahead. They do use, they do use the feminine charms to, I don't know, to get a guy to help at work or to get out of something. So where am I going with this? I'm not sure. Oh yes, gender stereotypes. Yes, yes, yes. So what I'm saying is that yes, there are gender stereotypes, and also there is recognition that it takes two to tango, that we're totally tangoing as well.
It's a very interesting question, and I try to reflect back, like after I start this company, and whether I have that kind of issues. And I feel like I've been dealing with mostly foreigners. Like it's been in Bali since I started, but there's so many foreigners like where I go, and I feel like I don't have that much resistance, like towards like people have no problem with me being a woman or a man, and then, but then I go out to, let's say, like to local, to like a local community. I'm Indonesian, and suddenly I get put into a box. I live in Ubud the past 1 year, and then I basically I hang with a lot of foreigners in Ubud, and then it's just like normal, like we have normal conversations. And then I need to go to the hospital. I went to Denpasar. And then the doctor was like saying, asking me like, "Where's your husband?" Like, well, it was, well, he needs to do something else. And then, but it's okay. It's my body. I mean, and then he refused to tell me anything about my health, about the diagnose, about the things that the procedure that he was going to do. And then, and then the next time, it's like, "Yeah, it's okay. We just like meet again, like next time. I'll explain to you. You're gonna forget it later anyway." And then, and then the next time, "Bring your husband." And I don't know how to react to that because he is a doctor in Indonesian, and like in Indonesia, he's the respected person. He's an older guy. He's an Indonesian, he's smart, so you need to respect the doctors, right? Like the Indonesians are all like nodding because of that. And then while like daily I was treated as an equal, like nobody has ever questioned where's my husband when I do things. And suddenly he just refused to tell me my diagnosis of my own body because I went there without my husband. And then it took me a while to process that. Of course, the first one to blame is my husband. Why aren't you there? But then when I dig up a little bit deeper, it's just this frustration. Suddenly I get put into a box, and then in order to do things, because I'm in that box, I need male companion. I need my husband to go with me. So I I haven't gone to that kind of community or like that kind of circumstances under my business. It was in the hospitals. It was personal, but I'm pretty curious about how it's gonna be. Like one day when I have that kind of circumstances, like will I be put in a box again? Like how do I deal with that? And yeah, so it was very interesting.
So I guess in the agency world, there's definitely gender stereotypes because there's way more male-owned agencies in the world than there are female-owned marketing agencies. And being an Asian women agency, all women team, I have to say that there's definitely a little bit of a roof that we're trying to break right now, simply because we realize that, say in Southeast Asia, it's still a very male-dominated industry, the agency world, and the females that are hired in agencies are generally the girls who go for sales, or they're usually the writers, but they don't play CEO roles, they don't play the upper management role, and if they do, they're deemed as, you know, ballsy, or they have a certain stereotype of these women. And you know, we are trying to break that ceiling by saying, hey, we're normal people and we can do marketing just as well as the next person. But you know, you talk about the women playing their, you know, flirtatiousness. I mean, we try not to do that at all. We really try to be as neutral, gender neutral, if at all, with the way we are, and talk about more about world issues. But that being said, there's stuff that we cannot deny, like the fact that why would my agency be paid less than a male-run agency? Because I've seen that firsthand. There are companies out there who are more than willing to trust a male leader versus a female leader. It's in statistics out there. So that's stuff that we need to converse about, and we actually did we started a social media conversation piece about that in our agency, and there were males that were responding to that, being a little bit defensive about it. And I'm not saying that they can't be defensive about it. I'm more than happy to generate conversation, but I would love to see more male agency, or even just male in general, to sort of question your employer. Why is it that that girl is getting like less money than you when you earn the same position? Or for that matter, you know, why is this CEO of this agency, female run, not getting the same opportunities, for that matter? Or oftentimes, you know, at events, speakers are mainly male, unless it's a women-run event, obviously. But if it's really about the big conferences that happen around the world, go and see, like, the faces, like 95% of them are male, and we are trying to change that in our side of the world, at least in Southeast Asia. Yeah.
Being a Balinese woman, pleasant and unpleasant. Being a divorce is unpleasant. Being a Balinese is a pleasant. But I think it's all start from taboo things here been happening in Bali for such a long time, especially talking about women. We have been, we used to, if I could say the unpleasant sentence, we used to treat like slaves, following the kingdom system, the kingdom society, where women not allowed to express their emotional feelings. And that's what I found myself was very struggles when I got divorced, and also when I would like to do something different. I mean, man job. Man job, it was, yeah, blocked by the society, blocked by my parent, my mom. No, it's not woman job. Your job is just making coffee and being in the kitchen and serve the man. And okay. So again, being a followers, we struggles to we have fear. We not dare to react, to break the chain, because we used to lead to be a followers, generation to generation. And I've been so grateful to see, and to see it's slightly better if talking about village women. If women in cities, I think because there are more opportunities given, opportunities to educate themselves, to experience many things, to broaden their horizon. So it's been much better compared to tiny village. If talking about women. So this is why at the center we have multiple programs, including bamboo bike building. Because when I got invitation to learn how to build bamboo bike, I thought, this is one way, one way to let others see we can. Because if we look deeper again, as my mom said, women is the neck of the world. Even in Bali, again, particularly, the man is the decision maker. But the ideas, the strength, the bridge is here, the women. And also, I've been working on make the only first time ever to put a woman as the head of the village. It's never happened in Bali yet, but I've been working on it. Even again, Bali time. In our principle, there's no sentence, take it or leave it. But take it or take a little bit more time. because again, it's all about what we believe. I myself believe we all, as a human being born with our soulmate, it doesn't mean our partner or our in relationship partner, but we have our soulmate, someone who can be listened. So we just need to give the opportunities. And I'm so glad to see it's moving forward, all these good things, because again, we have been working hard to encourage, to raising the awareness of all those taboo things. So people start look, I lose my society for quite long time, and some people even spit on me when it's just because I'm being a divorce. And I was struggle to get my own daughter for 15 years since I divorced 16 years ago. And again, it comes from, again, the primitive mindset, and all those taboo things need to be break down. And it's again 3 P's. Your passion, your patience, and perseverance needed to see the result. This is what I see, I experience. We went through all those struggles being a woman. But again, if we believe to ourselves, then it comes. Your energy created, the positive energy, will be flowing. Positive. Thank you.
So by saying this, I just got a question. Do you experience the same on the men's side? That because change has to come from 2 sides. It's one, I think it's very important to educate the woman and to say what's the possibilities and to kind of stay together, but in order to get this in a peaceful way, work for everyone, I was just wondering, is there any equal man movement kind of happening? Because I always feel like we're women, we kind of
we're pushing forward. We know where the weaknesses are, and we try to change this. But I'm always and I'm coming from life in Bali, where now is happening the men's circle, and I've been locked out of this because I'm a woman. And this is like the one thing that I actually experience of some empowerment of men, like trying to also empower them to see the other woman side. So I'm just wondering if this something is happening here, or if you experience anywhere in the world, because this is something that I feel like this is kind of missing. Yeah.
Should I? Yeah, thank you for the good question. And yes, I've been experienced this. That's why at the beginning I mentioned I would like to see men center. Because again, imbalance always occurs something not pleasant. I would like to see the balance, of course, where I could say many issues actually invisible, either women or men. But the good things, if again I'm talking about the Balinese guys, the Balinese men, they're not really expressed as good as us. Being a woman, we can express. It can be extremely through throwing things or break, throwing the table or whatever, or yelling, or yelling. It's visible to see how women react. But men mostly not really expressed. They can be like in Bali, they gambling, they smoking or doing all those things to express. It's all about the communication, the way of communication. So we as a women is much better to communicate our needs. But unfortunately men not really. But we would like to encourage men to see the situation. It's all cycles, the cycles of the situation. So we invite, what we have been doing is we empower the women first and the children. That's why I also mentioned before, we end up helping the rest of the communities, because it's all about the balance, the triangle, the institution, foundation, or whatever, company, families, and the communities. So need to be balanced, to need to make them aware, healthy, happy. Then we can create the harmony in balance. But how we encourage is first start with the children, start with the women. Then again, this is what I means with energy. If you create a positive energy, make the women aware first, because I found the women more easier to learn, and also they more open to receive knowledge or whatever. So then of course when they aware about all those things, they get the knowledge, then they can create a positive energy around the family compound, if we could say here. So this is how men's encourage, and I was so proud of few men who came to center. Can we join the yoga? This is women's center, Pa. We call Pa. Yeah, we also would like to get healthy. Okay, I will ask our ladies if they open too. And one by one of the ladies mentioned, well, actually our husband also would like to. And our neighbors. Okay. Our motto is from us to us. If you girls, if you ladies say yes, there's no reason for me to say no. Welcome. We welcome everyone. Why? Because we again believe with the 3 E's. Everybody is a teacher. Every place is a school. Every moment is a lesson. So we encourage, again, Bali time, slowly but surely. Keep your perseverance. Don't get stressed. Be flexible. So that's what I would like to say. And yeah, I've been so glad to see from the pain turn into a positive and meaningful things.
This is such a good question. I really, really appreciate it. And as an organizer of women's events, I get this question quite a lot. Some anger sometimes, why this separation exists. I totally agree with what you mentioned about women being more susceptible to change. I think everything about women from the body, women are made for change, for changes for for motherhood, for whatever, going to your husband's family and all that. So yes, women are more susceptible to change, and they do bring men to yoga. They do bring they bring up the children, but also I see the reason why there's more of women movement and woman things happening now, because it's just kind of trying to rebalance. So what we've seen in the past, right, a lot of male, more aggressive male domination. Now there is aggressive female pushback. So I do see a lot of aggression now from women as well. There's a lot of like hysteria, I think. It's not yet healthy, I think. It's a lot of like, a true warrior, I don't think a warrior who is confident, a warrior who's got it. I don't think he'll be screaming and shouting because he knows he's got it. And I think we're still doing a lot of screaming because we don't feel like we got it yet. So I think that's one thing I want to mention. And the other thing is that I see that this screaming and this aggressive female pushback is totally scaring men. I see men getting really scared. We're trying to initiate men into the conversations. We're trying to open. Here in Bali, for example, we've tried a few events where we invited men to speak on the issues, where like to hear male perspective on, men after Me Too. We had 18 women sign up and 1 guy, and the guy was our speaker. Everybody's talking about these issues, but when we ask, hey, why don't you want to come? They say, we're afraid. We're afraid we're going to get attacked. We're afraid because they are getting attacked. So, yeah, I think fear of already, like you said, men are not very expressive. And we are kind of shutting them down even more. Instead of loving and instead of, like, embracing, we're totally, I think, scaring the shit out of them.
All right. I'll pass on the mic to you guys. Wait, Natasha had your hand raised.
So what is the female strength? Like being I think my personal strength. I need a while to think about that. Oh my God.
You need break after hectic day. Kindness. Kindness I found powerful, and calmness. Kindness and calmness. Because this is unbreakable. The kindness and calmness in every part of life. It's not just about the being a leader, but this is also powerful and respectful. Respectful if your followers or your team or whatever, whatever you call them, have different ideas, different opinion or whatever. Because again, we are human beings. We are different with our own unique talent. If it doesn't fit in, then share to them it is okay. It is okay. It's not fit in. We can fit in another area, in another field. So from me, kindness, calmness, and respectful is the power of being leader, the strength of the leader. Thank you. Now you can continue.
Okay, so I have this life motto that I've always gone through with. I live life to learn. So I think one of the strengths that a leader should have is always wanting to learn. Like education is so important. It doesn't matter how old you are, you always need to learn and listen. Like one of the things that leaders lack sometimes is listening to their peers or their their team, and without listening you're not learning. And so for me, those are my two important things, that if we are to thrive as women in the future, it really is about learning to listen and learning even to from men, and so, like, for example, on our end, I wanted to add earlier was that despite the fact that we're an all-women team, we're very open to collaborating with men. And honestly, we do want to hire men, just no one wants to apply to work with us yet. So we're just wondering why. Maybe it's the way we project ourselves. But to be honest, we collaborate with a lot of men when it comes to running podcasts or interviewing them. Generating conversations with men is something that we do because we want to learn. We want to understand, and we really want to listen. Like, what are they thinking, and how do we coexist as a world? And that's kind of what I do.
Yes, now I know actually. Resourcefulness. I feel like as a growing up as a woman, a lot of times, like, I need to be creative in getting what I want if I cannot do it by myself. So it's like being being a wife, and then I have 6 dogs, a bit too much, I know. And then I just need to be resourceful in, like, trying to make sure that the house is livable, like like arrange things. And basically I think that kind of resourcefulness and, like, creative thinking, as in, oh, I need to get there, how, like, who or what should I do or whom should I contact in order to get there, and then instead of being straightforward, like, no, this is not possible, like, it's a little bit like I'm already used to thinking, like, few different ways how it can be done. And I think it's a very female strength, yeah, like that kind of resourcefulness, like being creative of, like, getting what we want.
Okay, I don't know if it's it's not really women's per se strength. But yeah, I have had a quite difficult time in life. I am bipolar. I have had, like, really strange experiences, which turned out totally blessing in disguise. When I started writing a book coming out of a crisis, I experienced, like, already when I thought I knew everything, I experienced the biggest crisis ever. So, like, the more I go down, the more beauty I discover there. So kind of breaking, it's really weird, but maybe it's a cliche, but yeah, breaking has been wonderful experience to break. And the other thing that I think really is helping me so far is kind of bridging the knowledge, bridging people. I don't really belong, I think, anywhere. I never really belonged anywhere. I love party people, I love hippie people, I love scientists, I have my academic crowd, I have my, I don't know, entrepreneur friends. When I teach psychology, I use things from academia, I bridge them with things from Tantra and yoga and, like, Taoism. When I do business, it's bringing people together, bringing ideas together. So I think bridging from one world into another, like you said, we're kind of all the same. Yeah, kind of just showing that there's a lot of commonalities, there's a lot of bridging that can be done.
Cool. Thank you for that. Yes, you had a question.
Actually, that's according to the other question before, and it's a bit according to your answer already. I'm getting sometimes quite irritated when a man says, "Oh, you're traveling. It's very brave for a woman." So I'm like, brave, yeah, as a woman, like, what? because I think it's brave anyways, right? So when someone says such things, I'm always irritated because in Europe, or at least Germany, there's like a really bad cliche, like women are screaming, they're attacking men, like there's like a contra, like a resistance. So when I get like this response, I'm always like, I do want to say like there's no such thing as a woman. It's brave either way. But also I don't want to keep up with the cliche being like the one like he's keep educating men, like taking every every opportunity to bring the knowledge to the men. Still I feel like I have the responsibility because I have the awareness, right? So I would like to know, how do you deal with the split between educating men, bringing the awareness, but also taking keeping up with your business interests, which is probably not always the same?
Yeah, really good question. I feel like the less preach for myself, I try to stay away from preaching as much as possible. I'll give you just one example. When I worked in China, I worked with, so it was like big construction projects. I was working with local governments. Of course, they're all dudes. Of course, they all do. They're men. Chinese men, very conservative. I think more conservative than Bali. I'm not so sure because I'm not so, I don't know Bali villages so much, but extremely conservative. And so here I am. I'm in my 20s. This girl, I'm a girl, and I'm in my 20s, and I'm just sitting there. It's just not going. Nothing is going. Like no conversations with them are going. No projects are moving. Nothing is happening. They're feeding me tomorrow's. Okay, fair enough. I get what's happening. So we hire two men to follow me in the meetings, and we just play. We play a game that they're the bosses. I'm the secretary. Same conversation, same everything, and things are moving. And the younger guy is taking them out to KTVs and to parties and, to dining and wining and whatever. And things are moving. So on the one hand, like, is it sad or is it moving ahead? Like, okay, fine, you have your game, let's play your game. I'll beat you in your game. I don't need to teach you, I'll beat you anyway. So that's kind of like my answer, my way. It doesn't have to be about beating, it doesn't have to, it's not about showing, like, educating, this is the better way, this is the better way. It's like, hey, this is my way, or let's play your game, and yet I'll still be me. I don't know, I think I'm losing the answer, I'm getting tired. But, but yeah, I tried.
I'm pretty lucky that in my sector, social enterprise is quite a new concept. So somehow people who are working on social enterprises, they're pretty forward. They're pretty forward. They don't, everything is equal. I discuss with a lot of like female founders or female marketing managers or anything like that, and then it's never been a problem. And it's actually so weird because I had a discussion about, it's not really like male versus female discussion. It's about me being Asian women and then my significant other being a foreign male white. So there's a little bit of like, there's like a bit, because of course, like being a pretty loud Indonesian, it's like, I have this concept about feminism. I have this like bitterness about how I was treated like that back then, and then I don't want to be treated like that anymore right now. So sometimes I kind of like let it like lash it out on him, forgetting that he is, he's the example of that privilege that he, that he is. So it's a very interesting pull because like I know that he has a sensitive side of it, but the thing is, like for women program, it started by a women. You cannot be a woman and then start a men's program. It needs to be. I feel like there needs to be like enough men aware about this need, and then them actually addressing that themselves. I'm not kind of saying like, oh, it's not the men, it's not a women's job. I feel like we have a lot of jobs on our own to actually, stop screaming and actually, making peace, and it is not about us against them. But I think, from the male perspective about this awareness, instead of being fear of women, hey, maybe we can get together and then see, do you have personal relationship affected by this? And I know there's like one person that, or like one guy that I met at one of the startup weekends. Like he's very aware, like he's very mindful, he's very into that thing, and then he started his own men's circle. I think we need a lot of that. We need a lot of that personally. But of course, I wouldn't tell them this is what you need or something, But it's nice to see him opening that opportunities for male to connect with him and then to actually have honest discussion about it. I feel like it's not something that us women can do for them. It needs, I mean, like it's just not the right role. I feel like. So yeah, that's just what I think about.
Thank you.
I think I can relate to what you just said, but I would like to add that prior to that, what I've done thus far is actually be surrounded by men who actually want to see change. And please, let's give them a round of applause for actually wanting to be here. Like I really support the men. Thank you for coming, because you're one of the braver guys that are actually willing to be all good with it. And honestly, Mikey, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity, because the truth is, like, we should be giving, as women leaders, what we should be doing is generating this conversation more with men in leadership and asking them to give us the opportunity. As I said earlier, don't be surprised. You can ask, and they might be willing to give it to you. You just need to put it in perspective. I mean, and it's always about like putting out the benefits of this in the long term. And for most men, I think they are willing to do it. It's just that you need to communicate with them in a sound way. This is what I've learned thus far. And I grew up with a very, like Malaysia is also a very like traditional society like Indonesian. And I'm Muslim, and we have a certain way of thinking, and women are not meant to be like equal per se. I mean, although we talk about us being equal in some ways, there's still a lot of that stigma about how women are viewed as Muslim women. And my dad was very unhappy with me to like do what I'm doing, go far away and start my own thing. I mean, it's not easy as a female entrepreneur, but at the end of the day, you do what you got to do. My brother supports me because he believes in the cause. And that's the part that you got to understand. It's like, if this male won't support you, some other male will. And you kind of have to have that conversation with them to say, hey, can you get me that avenue to have this conversation with more men, And the more we do that actively, I think it will do better. And I think, like I said, with like what Mikey's doing and the two guys that are here today and then the guys at the back there, keep talking about us, and say like, let us grow as a community to have conversations together. Because otherwise, yeah, we're going to remain separate. And I think that's the challenge that we're having right now in 21st century.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for the insight. Thank you, Nazira, for the shout out. Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like, I created this workshop because I feel like everyone can still continuously learn. Someone was talking about we need to continuously learn from each other, and continuously learn as individuals. In the end, knowledge is power. And I would like to thank these 4 women for being troops for 2 hours and sharing all this insightful information. I'd like to thank everybody for coming down. I just wanted a show of hands. I'm very, very sure that you guys found value in doing this, right? 100%. And that's why I'm going to keep going. And there will be monthly workshops. And please, I'm putting my iPad here if you want your information on when the next workshop will be. We're a creative community, and we support the creative community all around Bali. So thank you so much, guys. And yeah.